mere moments that Osama bin Laden is dead. This is the result of a U.S. action. He's been killed by U.S. personnel, and I'm told by top government officials that, in fact, the United States has bin Laden's body. That the United States has bin Laden's body. They will confirm that it is him, and that he has been killed by a U.S. action. As we have been describing, this is a huge development, one that the administration has been working, as a previous administration has since 9/11, often under the radar, despite frequent questions about bin Laden's location. This is something that resulted, according to sources, of a U.S. military action in Pakistan, something that White House officials have been monitoring throughout the day. There's been speculation in the region about what may have happened, and indeed the president is now preparing, is currently writing his remarks, presumably is prepared to deliver them, as he is getting ready to do in just moments, late on a Sunday night here on the East Coast, following a major development. Chuck Todd, again, the latest details, military action has killed bin Laden. The United States has his body.
And, David, the fact that the United States has his body, that may not mean it was necessarily a drone attack. As we know, those drone attacks make it so that you don't put personnel in danger, but the fact that that we have the body could tell us a little bit more about the action itself. David, you know, the last few times that we've gotten briefings here at the White House from the national security folks having to do with Al-Qaeda, almost all of it has had to do with Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. And whenever we would ask about, well, what is the status with bin Laden and the hunt for bin Laden, and they would say, look, we're always going after him, we're always looking for him, but they have made him less effective for a long period of time, that he hadn't been able to direct the type of terrorist attacks that he was able to direct, obviously, before and up until 9/11, and that the more operational part of Al-Qaeda is Al-Qaeda in Yemen, essentially, David, but that didn't mean they were ever stopping their efforts to try to get bin Laden.
General Barry McCaffrey, decorated, of course, veteran of the Gulf War and a military analyst for NBC News. General McCaffrey, describe your reaction. This is a huge development on the part of the United States and this administration. U.S. military action, we believe, in Pakistan has resulted in the death of Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, well, it's an enormous shot in the arm to the armed forces. We've got to remind ourselves we've had 47,000 killed and wounded confronting terrorism since 9/11. So I think this is very good news. Very much look forward to what the president has to say about the tools we use to get Osama. It won't, in the short run now, affect the war in Afghanistan dramatically, but it is definitely good news for America.
Andrea Mitchell, it is worth also reminding our viewers that the president gets a presidential daily briefing, as well as a threat matrix of major threats against the United States. And there has been a question about the extent to which Osama bin Laden has been able to direct what Al-Qaeda was capable of as a centralized terrorist organization or a split organization that operates anywhere, almost any time, after it effectively got shut down in Afghanistan and forced across the border, where most of Al-Qaeda operatives are believed to be, which is in that rugged land in between Afghanistan and Pakistan.
Well, and in fact, even if he is not directing operations, and if he is not operational, he is inspirational. And as General McCaffrey points out, as you know so well, David, the fact of his having been killed by American forces is such a major shot in the arm, and is such an important factor right now, especially considering the military reputation, the importance of what is going on in the Middle East, and the frustrations, frankly, for our military in many parts of the world, setbacks in Afghanistan, problems now in Iraq. This would be a huge defeat, psychological and operational, even if it is not the fact that it is directly operational, that most of the threats in the matrix that you point out have been coming from Yemen. The fact is, though, them having his body, we've long known, we've had his DNA. We know from the Saudis, from members of the family, we've actually had his DNA on record, held by the United States, so that we can always, if there was some sort of an attack and not a way of identifying him, be able to say that we have bin Laden. But the fact that we actually have his body means that you accurately, as Chuck pointed out, this was a military operation with boots on the ground, and not
people at the World Trade Center and in Washington, and of course the hijacked airliner that was brought down in Pennsylvania as well. A major development that the President and National Security team have been working on, and a previous administration as well, Chuck Todd. President Bush saying notably from the White House after 9/11, this was a figure wanted dead or alive. But Chuck, before I go to you, let me bring in our chief foreign correspondent, Richard Engel, who is in Benghazi in eastern Libya, monitoring another U.S. and NATO operation against Colonel Gaddafi. Richard, your reaction from a part of the world tonight that will take this news as a huge development as it is throughout the world.
This is nothing less than breathtaking. This ends a chapter, the global war on terrorism, which has defined a generation, which has defined the U.S. military missions in Afghanistan and Iraq. So many people, so many soldiers have been waiting for this moment. I know incredible numbers of troops who have been wondering what they were doing in Iraq, wondering what they were doing in Afghanistan for year after year, deployment after deployment. And now, when they hear that Osama bin Laden is dead, they will feel that their sacrifice has been for something. And they will say that the United States, maybe it's not safer, maybe this was just a symbolic moment, but the reason they signed up for military service, and so many of these young men and women signed up after 9/11, was to achieve a victory against Osama bin Laden. This is a turning point for the global war on terrorism, and in many ways, the global war on terrorism, which has defined our generation, which has defined the way we live, every way we get on airports, we get on planes, the way we live our day-to-day life, may be changing right now. And I think this is an incredibly significant development, David.
Richard, from your reporting, from your experience on the battlefield and in capitals throughout the Arab world, is this the end of something in terms of those people that Osama bin Laden reached, or is it perhaps the beginning of something? Does his death make him a martyr?
I think this is the end of something. We have seen for the last decade Salafi Islam, extremist Islam, ride an incredible crest of popularity, and now with his demise, which I assume we are going to hear the president announce very soon, we could be turning into a new phase. The Arab revolutions, which I'm witnessing right here, are starting, and if the 1990s were defined by Islamic radicalism, and the last decade was defined by the global war on terrorism, the next decade could be defined by a new period, which is the period of Arab democracy, the period of Arab unity. And if people assume that Osama bin Laden is dead and a new era is beginning, then I think there is a chance for not only a turning point for the U.S. foreign policy, which I mentioned before, the way the United States conduct our daily lives, but in a new way for the way the Middle East operates. We look at the Middle East in terms of historical periods. The last decade was defined by our war against bin Laden, our war against terrorism, our war against fear. This new decade, which is being defined right now, could be defined by new factors. And I think there is a great feeling of optimism and a great feeling of closure by the death of this person that has become hated in the Middle East. He was considered someone who was despicable and who disgraced the reputation of Arabs and Muslims.
I'm going to interrupt you. We are going to get all information together. It is 11 o'clock now on the East Coast. I'm David Gregory in Washington. President Obama is preparing to address the nation tonight with a major development. That is that Osama bin Laden, the most wanted terrorist in the world, the man behind the deadly 9/11 attacks that changed America, is dead. Osama bin Laden is dead. The president will announce in mere moments that it was a U.S. military action that killed him, that U.S. personnel were responsible for his death, and that the United States has the body in its custody. This, we believe, was an incident that occurred in Pakistan where Osama bin Laden for years since 9/11 is believed to have been hiding. We've seen him periodically appear by videotape that often appeared on the satellite network Al Jazeera, broadcast throughout the Arab world, with topical analysis of events happening throughout the world. The wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, particularly a war in Afghanistan that was launched with an effort to bring both Al-Qaeda down and Osama bin Laden down. And now it has happened. The president will take America through the developments that led to Osama bin Laden's death tonight. We are awaiting the president, who will speak late on a Sunday night, and he will take us through those developments. We have all of our correspondents in place. Chuck Todd at the White House, our Chief Foreign Affairs correspondent, Andrea Mitchell, who has covered the war on terrorism in its many incarnations since that deadly day of 9/11 and before, including reporting on Osama bin Laden. Richard Engel, our colleague, said it, Andrea, this is nothing short of a breathtaking development that the president will announce.
Report on bin Laden was in 1997 on Nightly News, and that's when he was first identified as the key operational leader. He and Wari, of course, his second in command. And across over the years, we've seen many kills and captures of these top Al-Qaeda officials, but it was always Osama bin Laden, the one figure that the U.S. really wanted desperately to get, largely because of 9/11, obviously, the importance of that, as Richard Engel was pointing out, the importance of that to all of the military men and women who enlisted after 9/11, inspired, horrified by that, and wanting to take action, wanting to become engaged. And even though bin Laden has not been as operational in recent years because he has been surrounded and isolated by American military actions and covert actions, even though he has not been the key leader of Al-Qaeda that he once was,